Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and today I'm going to be reviewing Beaches for the Brave. This is a solo war game that is also a book game by Mike Lambo. Alright, so this is Beaches for the Brave. It is a book game in Mike Lambo's self-published book game series. So basically Amazon is technically the publisher for these games. You order it, Amazon prints it, and it shows up at your house in a couple days, if you are in an Amazon country. And these things are only like $15 each. For comparison, the Worthington book games are about $30. So does this look as fancy? No, but it's very cheap, it's very efficient, and honestly, I really like it. So let's have a look at what Beaches for the Brave is about, and then I'll give you some final thoughts about why I think it's really good. So just looking at the table of contents, you can see this book is fairly thin, but there is a lot in it. So you get a nice little set of rules, and then you get 12 different beaches to play with. So for $15, you get 12 beaches, and you can play each one more than once. So I actually think that's a pretty good deal. As you page through, you'll get some rules, but the good news is that this is the longer explanation, but on each beach, you're gonna get like a little cheat sheet to the left. So for example, here is Utah Beach. There's two Utah beaches, one that has a higher tide, which is a little more challenging. But here's the base scenario for this game, and I'm actually gonna pull up my iPad where I took a scan of this map, and I like to mark what's going on with my Apple Pencil. So here we have a lovely image of Utah Beach, and we've got our 6 starting guys right here. You can actually also see the bunker up top. Basically the goal is to advance our dudes up these tracks and take out all 6 of the positions in this bunker. And I'm going to give you a basic sense of how to do that. These games are actually so quick I could probably just play a whole one in 10 minutes, but I'll keep it short for review purposes. The rules are over here. Basically, yes, you want to destroy all 6 sections of the German bunker. There's an Allied air support, which I'm about to show you. And then we'll work through an Allied forces phase and an enemy fire phase, so you can see how the game works. So, once only, at the start of the game and before the first Allied forces phase, I get to roll 4 dice. So let's go ahead and roll 4. Alright, so I got 1. So for each matching pair of dice, so I rolled a 5, a 4, and 2 3s, which is really key. So for each matching pair of dice, I get to destroy 1 section of the bunker. So this is great. I get to start the game by destroying 1 section of the bunker. So Lambo printed in this book that basically, usually you're going to get 1 pair out of 4. So the game is designed that typically you'll destroy 1 of the bunkers. Sometimes you get really lucky and destroy 2. Sometimes you destroy none, and it's kind of like a little variable difficulty level for any given game. So now that we've done Allied air support, we're going to go into the Allied forces phase. And so basically I roll 1 die per Allied unit that is remaining. So this time I get to roll 6, but as my guys die, I'm going to roll fewer than 6. So I got 6 dice, and I've got a 6, a 1, a 4, a 6, that was a 6, a 1, and a 5. So there's some things about this roll that are good and some that are not. I will tell you that getting the double 6s is really great. But let's talk through some of our options first. So basically I have to use all of these dice in one way or another. I can use them to advance my soldiers. I can use them to get officer support if I have a straight. So I don't actually have that this time, but if I had like a 3, 4, 5, I could re-roll all of those dice. Or if I had a 1, 2, 3 or a 2, 3, 4, same thing. It's considered having an officer there, and you can re-roll the 3 dice in the straight. But as it is, I won't be able to do that, so this is what I'm stuck with. So I can use these dice for a few different things. One is Allied movement. So I'll be moving my guys up if I choose to allocate a die to them. And you're going to want to move them into cover and into firing spaces. So these little basic circles are areas without cover, which means that when the enemy attacks, your guy is vulnerable and has a high chance of dying. Here, we have these spaces with like a thicker outline. These are spaces that are considered in cover. You want to get your allied soldiers to those spaces so that when the enemy attacks, they don't get shot to death. And the other areas that are important, some are in cover and some are not, are these arrows. These arrows are firing spaces, and when you're in one and you roll a 6, then you can destroy part of the enemy bunker up here. So you're going to be thinking about die allocation in the sense of you need to get your guys into less vulnerable spots, and you need to get them into spots where they can attack. Because the ultimate goal is to destroy the bunker. If you have 3 matching dice, you could choose to do Allied naval fire support, so you can discard those 3 dice to destroy a section of the bunker. However, if you've got a bunch of guys who are exposed, maybe you don't think that's worth it and you want to try to move soldiers instead. Allied fire is, once again, if you're on an arrow, you can use a 6 to destroy a section of the bunker. Up here in these circles with a G in them, these are grenade spots, and basically what you can use them for is to launch a grenade at the bunker. In these spots, you can destroy part of the bunker on the roll of 5 or 6, as opposed to a 6, which is what you need for these aerospaces. The 2 6s are great because they do allied suppressing fire. So I could use these 2 6s to prevent the allies from getting hit this turn. The enemy won't attack if I allocate these pair of 6s up there to suppress fire. So that's probably what I would do this turn. On a double 3 or 4, you can add reinforcements, but only on an empty track. So that wouldn't apply this turn. And then a run of 3 numbers is, as I mentioned, allied officer present. Sometimes you get allied tank fire, but we won't this time. So basically what I would do on this turn is I would probably allocate these 2 6s to suppress fire. And then I would choose how I wanted to move my guys. So I have 2 1s, a 5, and a 4. So I might, and each ally can only, and each soldier can only have 1 die. So you can't do something like move into a firing space and then fire. You have to do it across separate turns. So be careful. But like, for example, here, 1, 2, 3, 4, I could use this die to move this guy up here. And then if he died, I could erase the whole line and start again. But he's now in cover, which is really good. And then here, maybe I'll move this guy 1. And I'll move this guy 1. And I have a 5, so who can move 5? Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get this guy into a space where he can fire. So basically, you move your soldiers up. And then if I hadn't used these dice to suppress fire, the enemy would attack me, but they won't. I'll show you what happens if they did, though. And then the other thing to note is that, see these little explosions on these circles here? These are mines. So for any reason your allied soldier ends their move on a mine space, they die. They blow up. So I was willing to move a 1 closer to this mine, but I don't want to be on the mine. So some beaches have more mines than others, and it's a huge pain. And be careful about how you allocate your movement. So this is how it's turned out. My guys would all be safe for another turn because we managed to suppress, and we would just go into another turn where I rolled my dice and saw what happened. But if these 6s hadn't been there, there are 5 spaces that are still alive, basically in the bunker. So you would roll 5 dice and get rid of any duplicates. But basically lanes 1, 2, 3, and 6 would have been hit this turn. So this guy's out of cover, he would have died. This guy's out of cover, he would have died. This guy's in cover, he would have lived. This guy's out of cover, he would have died. So even 1 enemy attack can be devastating if you're not careful about who you get into cover, and that's also part of the game. So yeah, you start pretty strong with all 6 lanes filled and guys advancing, but bad things can happen pretty quick. So that's a basic overview of how you play Beaches for the Brave. It seems really simple, and I mean, it is really simple, but when you're thinking about how to allocate your dice, whether you want to roll with an allied officer present to see if you get better dice, thinking about whether you want to take naval fire support and only move some of your soldiers on a given turn, everything comes together to have a simple game that still contains a lot of decisions. So we're going to talk about a little bit more in the upcoming final thoughts. So now for some final thoughts. I actually did not know what I was going to think of Mike Lambo's games. I posted my Waterloo Solitaire review just like on Facebook, and I heard from Mike Lambo, who said, hey, I make a bunch of book games and you should try those out. And I said, sure, that'd be great. And he very kindly sent me a bunch of them, so I'm actually probably going to cover a lot. But I had heard good things about the Lambo book games. I just never tried one. But you know what? I was really impressed. I liked Beaches for the Brave a lot. And I am really looking forward to trying out all of the other games, because if they're as good as Beaches for the Brave, then I'm really glad I have a full set right now. And we'll continue to add to that set over time. So Beaches for the Brave I thought was really great because it's a very good blend of simplicity and portability with choice. So sometimes your die rolls will just be bad and you're just going to get wrecked. But one game of Beaches for the Brave is so short that if it doesn't work out, you just set up and try again. And what I liked was that you have to make some really hard decisions when it comes to your dice because you have to use them all. Maybe you can use a combo, but having to move your guys out of cover and into vulnerable spaces because they have to advance up their tracks is extremely nerve-wracking. And deciding who has to go into cover, who you're going to risk, but maybe they're on a space where they can take a shot, who just got forced to move on to a mine because there was just nothing else you could do. There's so many little dramatic choices that happen over the course of that 10 minutes that it's really fun and that it's just really satisfying. And I'm very, very glad that I tried this game out. In a lot of ways, it has kind of D-Day Dice vibes because you've got a bunch of guys who are trying to get up the beach, and there's a lot of dice and a lot of randomness, but it's more streamlined, and you don't get any of the special powers or like sort of combo aspects that you get in D-Day Dice, but you do get an extremely streamlined game with a lot of choices that is super fun and can be taken on an airplane and just played on a tray table. I would know, I tried it. So I was really impressed with what I saw here, and I think that I will definitely be going in for more of these over time, and I'll be updating you on my experiences. So what's wrong with these games? I mean, honestly, okay. The fact is, graphical design speaking, these are not very attractive games, and I say that as a wargamer. But I mean, let's be realistic here. Mike Lambo is kindly making us these games at his house and uploading, I'm assuming it's at his house, but he's uploading these files to Amazon, and Amazon prints this off for us when we order. So this is the most streamlined, the least expensive publication process that you can possibly have. And the game book comes in like 2 days because you order it through Amazon. So I can't think of a cheaper, more streamlined, more efficient way to just get game books out than this. There just happens to be a trade-off because why would Mike Lambo hire a graphic designer when the point is to make these books very thin, very low profile, very cheap, and very easy to get a hold of? If you have to have the deluxe edition of everything, it might drive you crazy that these games look like somebody made them at home. That said, I don't care about that at all. And I would absolutely, so these books priced at about $14.99. I would, if I hadn't already been given a bunch of them as review copies, have gone online and bought a bunch of these because the price point is great. The ease of entry into this series was very simple. Beaches for the Brave was super easy to learn. I was playing in minutes. And where maybe the book doesn't look as fancy as some of the other games, including the Worthington book games that you could buy, the gameplay is there. And I don't know about y'all, but I became a gamer to play games. Even though deluxe stuff is nice, that's really not what's at the heart of this for me. So, Beaches for the Brave. It was super fun. I'm really glad I have it. Definitely keeping it. But this was super fun. I can't wait to play more of them. And I am super glad that Mike Lambo reached out to me to try these because I might have waited longer if he hadn't. And I'm glad that this game series has now entered my life. So, for $15, and if you're a solo gamer, seriously, just get the book. It's great. Go find 6 dice. I'm sure you have them at your house. Get a pencil, and off you go. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, maybe even become one of my patrons on Patreon if you're feeling generous. But most of all, happy gaming.